as I say, I got a call from Jeff Travis to get involved in the second album, Meet His Murder, and I was shipped up to Manchester, and we drove every day from Manchester to this studio called Amazon Studios, just outside Liverpool, a place called Kirby. It was on an industrial estate. Really, it was pretty nasty, to be honest with you. But we got down to work and did some good work there, and then we returned back to London later in the year to mix and finalise, the overdubs and mix. Again, the boys were very together, very tight, because there had been done a lot of playing live over that previous year, and so the backing tracks came together pretty quickly, to be honest with you. We'd get Morrissey's vocal on pretty quick as well. We wouldn't wait till every overdub was done, then put his vocal on. The idea was get the vocal on and then see where we had to go with, where things had to be filled in, where we needed more, where we needed less. And it was great working with Johnny, because obviously here it was a situation where it was just myself working with Johnny, and so it would be a constant thing of me trying to impress him by trying to get him a good guitar sound, or a good setup, or getting a different drum sound for different songs. And I was his soundboard. Johnny would try something, and it would be a case of, is that okay? And I was like, of course it is, Johnny. It's great, but it was great. I was beginning to kind of learn how he wanted things to be done, and learn how to impress him. What kind of sounds he liked, and so it was a learning process for actually everyone involved. Don't forget, these guys were very young at the time as well. So it felt like we were like kids in a sweet shop, really, kind of being allowed to kind of go in and record all these wonderful songs. The thing I wanted to do when I started on the Meet His Murder album was to try and perhaps just stretch the sonic envelope of what was going on behind them as such. I felt the first album was a great album, but it was pretty much in the same kind of production kind of vibe all the way through, I felt. And I think they felt that too. They wanted to stretch out and use the studio a bit more as an instrument, and try new kind of textures and sounds and things. So I was under the distinct impression from Johnny that try and change the drum sound from song to song. Try and make it more ambient or more dry or whatever, and really just try and make it a more interesting sonic sounding record. That was the main thing for me, was like, okay, I was given, kind of freedom really to kind of say, try and use these, effects in the studio and make it as interesting as possible for them. There was a distinct feeling, I think, to try and make it, as I say, a more interesting from a sound point of view, rather than just getting a good recording of their new songs. The songs I can remember from that album that I particularly really enjoyed recording were obviously the Headmaster Ritual. I just love the guitar figure on that, and just the general venom in Morrissey's vocal on that track. It's really cool. There's a track that I really like, which I think is often overlooked. It's a track called Well I Wonder, which I think is a beautiful ballad, one of the best Smiths ballads, I think. And I really loved the texture we managed to achieve on that particular song. Again, I think what I was trying to do, concentrating on the vocal, was making sure that I always captured a good balance of his vocal against the reverb settings or whatever I put on his voice at the time, to make it really, sound like a essential instrument within the song. And I really enjoyed. There's a track, Nowhere Fast, which has got this kind of shuffle, kind of train kind of vibe on it, which I really like. We got Mike to play a kind of shuffle and put a delay on it, so it sounded like a kind of train running on the tracks. And so those three songs for me are kind of my favourite three tracks from the album, where I feel we actually managed to achieve a different kind of sound and perspective for each song.